We are here, Lord. We are here, and Holly's blowing her nose.
And we're ready to podcast.
That is a consistent question that Mega gets.
It's like, what
do you
are
all
those
say?
lyrics?
Are we ready to pod? What is that? And we're ready to podcast. Do people not hear that in the song?
We are here.
Check one.
And do you know that song is there because one day you stood in the bedroom door. I was laying in bed and you stood in the bedroom doorway and you were like, just call it Mega. And then have the theme song be like, we are here and we're ready to podcast. and I was like, okay. And I contacted my best friend Julie, who's a composer, and I was like, so the theme song is going to be we are here, and we're ready to podcast. And she was like, can I throw a Lord in there? She's like, I need a one more beat, like. And so she added Lord, we are here. And then nobody understood a goddamn word since then.
Oh, hey everybody. Look at all these sweeties in here.
Hi, sweet babies.
Hi to all of you who have been here.
Happy August.
Before. Hi to the seekers. Do we have any seekers in here? Any first timers? Any pre-Christians? Any unchurched? Seeking a church? Anybody seeking a church home today? It's hi and welcome to you, most especially. Don't feel the pressure if the offering plate comes around to put anything into the offering plate. That is for members. That is for people who belong to this community. We just want you to have a great day in a church experience. So ignore the offering plate. It's not for you.
We've been riffing on this because, as I think we've told some of you, we're writing a mega feature comedy indie feature length, and so that's kind of what we've been riffing on lately. Is that like when I worked at a mega church, there was an armored vehicle like the banks have, and like men with guns who would take the like
all the cash,
like armored men with guns who would take the cash because so much cash flow was coming with the offerings, and how the offering was always done with such intention. Like the person who was allowed to lead the offering had to be like specifically trained in just the right language to use. And they would always say this stuff of like, please let the pay. They're literally putting a plate in your hand and that is for the purpose of you putting cash into it.
Right.
And they say the whole time from the stage as it's going, they say, please let that plate pass right by. Don't do a thing. Do not put anything in there, especially if you are visiting. This is not for you. These are for the members who call Willow their longtime home, blah, 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 blah. And I can't tell you how effective that was.
Yeah.
By putting a plate in someone's hand and then saying, please don't give any money. Please don't you dare.
It's like the Ren and Stimpy don't push the button episode where the whole thing is just about wanting to push the button.
Or Windy City Heat, don't use the blue bat.
So good. Yeah, they would be so mad if you put money in. Hi, Ty.
Hi, Kristen.
So if you're new to this, a couple of housekeeping things. Here's how it goes. We're going to improvise an episode for you based on your suggestions. Most of those suggestions came out of the Patreon chat, which is a very good place to get those in the episode. We're kind of doing a hybrid episode today, which is we're going to kind of mangle your questions into ideas or take some of them as just prompts, but they were so funny, and if you hear yours in there, we are much obliged.
And we'll take one or two more. If you have one you want to throw in, great. If not, now's the time to do it. But if not, we've got enough.
Do not feel compelled to donate. A Janie Meyer quote. Caitlin
wow,
Caitlin is the mega hard drive that exists purely to keep our smooth brains.
We need to be able to text you, Caitlin, while we're sometimes recording. We'll have to stop and be like, wait, what is the... And we genuinely don't know. Can we text you?
I believe you do have a new life in Christ, so don't feel like you have no life. You have a new life in Christ in Mega. Let's see. I was wondering if you ever thought of having
Oh.
the Climax kids do their own podcast.
Me too, Caitlin.
That's funny. Yeah, throw that under the
Okay.
Climax update if we have.
By the blood drive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Patreon is only for hot people, brat summer people. So just get ready. It's very spicy in there. And yeah, anybody else have anything that you've been curious about? Oh, and to chat, I think you have to be a sub on the channel. So sub to the channel and give us a thumbs up, even if you're on your phone or something. That helps the algorithm and it helps us. We're trying to get to the point where YouTube gives us $1 or $2 to do this.
Okay, wait, Delta Wave Poet, what about Rock Girl Summer People?
Wait, what is rock?
What is rock?
I'm so
I know. I'm like, why am I suddenly just like an
I can't keep
old?
up.
I'm just an
Also,
old.
I feel like I'm about to have a nipple slip with this. I cut this Climax tee way too deep, so if there is a
wardrobe malfunction,
a little Janet Jackson action going on, you know, maybe that's rock.
It's
girl
just
summer.
a nipple slip. Nipple slip is nice for a Sunday.
Yeah,
I would love to be on a live stream where someone might nipple slip.
I think
that
would
that would make me tune in. You know, frankly, I could too. I'm going extremely low cut today, and Mama gave up bras in 2020.
Mama burned her bras at the middle of the pandemic.
I said, that's about enough of that because I ain't never needed them. I used to have a water bra, like a water bra that makes it look like you have boobs. And it was heavy.
Wait, you had one of those?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I got it the second it came out. I went to the
it was like a water bed for your chest?
Department store. Yeah, it was like a padded bra, but like it had some kind of like it was a heavy like silicone like bubble. Like,
wow.
It's almost like what you put in a fake tit. They just put in the bra.
Just on the outside.
Yeah.
Oh, that seems fair.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like if you're gonna go through the pain and expense of having surgery, you know, you could just simply avoid that by having a water bra.
I was getting my tits smashed last week because I had to have a second mammogram because I had one come back abnormal, and Greg and I were really scared.
Yeah.
But then I went in and did further tests and ultrasound and all this stuff, and we got good news. So that's good news. But we did get really scared. But I was wondering, like, unless you've had a mammogram, there's no way to tell you, like, if you just took like a piece of your body.
Ow.
And then it's like an industrial machine, and it's like going by like millimeter, and she's squeezing it more and more, but it's clear. The panels are clear, like hard, that like,
oh, you can see through them?
And so I can look down and see my fucking pancake tit.
Ow.
It is, and they're like and mine are so small that this woman who's like this tall, so her face is already just in my. I just want to be like this motorboat or just for fun, you know what I mean? but she's like pulling on my armpit, and then she's having to like pull it in.
I didn't think this is how we were gonna start today. This sounds so painful.
Whoa,
I'm sorry.
I'm really being like Hallie right now.
Yeah,
I'm really like,
I'm being like, Greg, please don't. Okay, guys, I think we've heard about enough of that. Gray does definitely not want to hear about that. Delta Wave said, I want to know where the canon of Hallie getting continuous breast reductions came from.
Honestly, that's one of my...
That's based on a true story too, right?
What?
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking this was based on someone we knows proclivity for who they hired. Maybe not. Where does it come from?
Hallie's breast reductions?
That was just a bit.
I think I just made that thing up about how they keep coming back. Did we hear about that?
I don't know where.
I mean, you have to do LASIK again sometimes. Do you ever have to do a breast reduction again sometimes? I don't know.
That's a good question.
But like, no, because like top surgery would be. Wait, I don't know. I don't know how the.
I don't know where that bit came from.
But I know why I gave Hallie massive jugs. is because I think I endowed that to my own character, is because I wanted to feel what it feels like to have massive jugs. I have never, and now I don't care, but when I was younger, I was like, well, I guess I'm just lesser than, and no one will ever love me because I don't have a Pamela Anderson body, and I'm not curvy and voluptuous and like all the things that I thought like were required for me to ever have belonging and love. And I fantasized, oh, I wanted to get my nose done. I wanted to get big fucking lips, and I wanted to get big fucking tits. So I gave
I
Hallie
would die. I mean,
so I gave
what?
Hallie one so that I could just feel the emotional lived experience of what it's like to have massive knockers, because when I travel, I one time traveled. I have a couple friends who have like, I mean, just those massive melon jammers,
Say more.
you know, and I love them. I love all like extremes of body types and everything in between. I love them. Anyway, but uh
Where was this going?
I have traveled the world as myself in this body. And then I've traveled the world with my friends, specifically one friend I have who's got these jammers that stop anyone in their tracks. Because they literally got hit by it. But yo, I have to tell you, traveling with someone with jobbies is like night and day. We get treated differently. We get cabs. We get like stuff knocked off the bill, free drinks. Like people come out of the woodwork to like move heaven and earth for boobs like this.
And this was in the middle of Kenya, where you all got lost in the middle of. This is a
And I
story
met
for
a
another
tame
day.
impala. So still for another day. But that's why I wanted Hallie to have biggins, because I wanted to feel the emotional lived experience of what what it would be like. But I also do think, and this is true, man, that fucking mega church I worked at, all three of the like weekend producers that reported directly to the
This
lead
is what I
senior
was referring to.
yeah. Oh, duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like it was all of the assistants to the senior pastor were so hot
And had great racks.
and had these racks that were like, wow. So I also think Hallie, and we're trying to figure out what to do for the movie, but I want to get like, I don't know if this is like controversial, but I want to get like an over the shoulder kind of like
folder holder.
Yeah. Because you know how you can put on like a fake pregnancy belly that has like weight and everything?
We're
Like
definitely
I'm going to put one on I'm going to put two pregnancy bellies up on my thing. But we were like, can this be a great example of how delusional Hallie is? Like we for the movie even pitched like, what if could it be as dark as like every time she goes back to get a breast reduction, they actually get bigger like immediately? And she first thinks like maybe it's just swelling from the surgery. But then but every time she goes back in, but one of the pitches was, is this too dark? But it's Steve's plastic surgeon, and Steve keeps having them put implants in, and she thinks she's getting a reduction. And can that be the commentary on like delusional thinking and how deluded she is, that she's
and
like,
how divorced from her body she is.
and how divorced from her body she is, which I do like all that layered commentary, but ultimately the suspense is over. We decided no, even
we
that's
haven't
too far.
totally decided yet. Hey Kim, welcome. Okay, who remembers Stacks on Racks from earlier episodes?
Caitlin
Stacks on Racks.
Caitlin will remember.
Stacks on Racks is based on a true story too.
Yeah, it is.
I tried to give up bras, but I'm about to go back and work full time, so I had to buy some last week. Well, prayers up, and should we rip through an episode?
Yeah,
we got almost 30 people in here. We're gonna improvise based on your suggestions. This rules. Give us a little thumbs up if you can, one of you, if you're within those 30, because that will help us signal the others in the who follow Mega on YouTube. I'm gonna roll us in. Are you good to go?
Yeah. Was there anything else suggested here that I need to
How
get?
about people talking about Revelation? They always talking about Revelation.
Black
metal bands where all the songs are about Jesus being crucified.
Okay.
I could throw that in there. Breast reductions are gender affirming care. That is true. Was Hallie describing her mammogram? Have we done enough?
Enough mammo content?
Hey, Tiffany. Welcome. Okay, let's do it. We'll try to check in periodically with the chat with our eyeballs, but probably not with our words, because we are going to try to put this right out as a podcast.
Is there bingo?
No bingo today. I don't think Virginia was around, but yeah, if you're joining for the first time, sometimes we play bingo on here, but today we're just going to do a straight episode. And you ready?
Yeah.
Got your back.
I got your back.
And if my nipple slips, then that'll just be the cherry on top of all this breast talk.
Come on. Let's pray for nipple slip.
QG, what's up? All the way from Europe.
Ooh.
Tuning in. Okay. Let me roll on the
check.
The pod portion.
Pop, test. Check.
All right. We're ready to rock.
All right. Here we go. Hiya, I'm Hallie Labont, and this is Mega, coming to you from Twin Hills Community Church, where every single week we're giving our mega church a tiny family feel. We love to introduce you to members of our church staff and people from our community, and I always find it to be a treat and a treasure, and today we have questions from people in our community. We're also recording this live on YouTube, and all our improv is based on the suggestions of our Patreon members. I'm so glad to be here and feeling blessed with you today, Gray.
What is up, Hallie? It's the end of days, but I still say praise.
Awesome.
What is going on? I am so excited to be here and just to fellowship with our people that are watching us live, but also with you, Hallie. How are you?
Oh, I am feeling so blessed. I've been watching the Olympic highlights, because I'm still trying to boycott it because of, them just being so disrespectful and, devoting part of what could have been a lovely opening ceremony, just devoting it to, shoving a bunch of like French liberal stuff in our faces.
And you know what was weird about that too? And I really started to think about it, which was, isn't it interesting that the Olympic Committee spent 4 years and billions of dollars to create a PR campaign just to offend Christians?
Yeah, just to mock the Last Supper and not even get it right.
Isn't that just... It's just so typical, isn't it, Hallie?
And I've heard that, people are like, correction, it's the Feast of Dionysus or something like that. And it's like, well, that's even worse.
No one even cares about that.
Because we don't want to be promoting, deities in human form feasting.
Yeah, and guess what? Nobody believes in that, so it's not going to offend anybody.
Yeah, but I thought I kind of found a loophole to be able to watch the highlights, and I've really been enjoying them. Katie Ledecky.
Katie Ledecky, yeah, I guess.
Can't stop winning. There's a man who's going around punching gals in the face.
Oh yeah,
in the boxing ring.
Well, typical, right? I mean, that's kind of what they're unlocking these days. It's just like, oh, there's no such thing as gender. Well, guess what? A guy's going to go hit a lady in the head. And that is what you all want. This is what the liberal agenda wanted. And so I'm just kind of like putting my hands up and being like, see?
It grieves the heart of God.
But did you, Hallie, the thing that really, really inspired me when I was watching the highlights, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned before, but my friend Clay Mason and I, we were watching the highlights, and it was awesome because did you hear about this Brazilian skateboarder?
Who had the Bible verse?
Yes.
Awesome.
Because, they even made it a rule that you can't say anything biblical or Christian when you accept your award. Did you know that?
This is persecution at the highest level.
Most persecuted people in the universe. And what he did was this cool little sign language version of, I think it was John 14:6. And Hallie, I've got to tell you, he did that it basically reminded me of when, Christians used to have to draw one side of the ichthus.
Yep.
And then another Christian would come up and draw the other side in the sand. And then that's how, and then they would do the little secret handshake,
Yep.
Which I still do with my teens.
Awesome.
They don't like it, but then you would know I'm a Christian, you're a Christian, right? And that's basically what this guy was doing. He was sending out the signal to all the Christians in the world, being like, hey, we can get around these rules.
I have a Jesus fish on every single vehicle at my house, and my son Day kept trying to take the ichthus off of my Lexus, and because he just said like, don't trivialize your faith by like slapping it on a bumper sticker and all this nonsense, and
I'm sorry, somebody did just remind me that it was a woman skateboarder, but I don't. That's
how
another
do you
example where
know
I
who's
just
a woman?
you don't know now, do you,
You
Hallie?
don't. I
Who's
mean,
competing in what?
there's this man who's running around punching women in the face at the Olympics. So here we
And I
go.
mean, her name was Gal, I guess, or something. I don't know, but it doesn't matter because like I don't think the gender matters in this case because well, again, I would kind of throw this back in the liberals' face. You all decided that doesn't matter, so I mean, I'm not going to apologize for using the wrong pronoun because I never do. Anyway, go on, Hallie. What were you saying?
Um, well, we were talking about how the persecution of the Christians, like
Yeah,
for instance, with the opening ceremonies,
yeah.
just as the most recent example. Well, I'm sure there's been a bunch since then, but my son Day, he is
Ugh,
is telling me, Mom, it's this like perceived persecution it's part of a like narcissistic disorder. And I
what?
was like, you can't even spell narcissistic, let alone drop that in a sentence to me, babe. But because I don't wanna go look it up, but I think it just means a self-absorbed person,
Right.
and which is another conversation I keep getting in with my daughters who,
Which daughters?
well, my daughter who finally locked herself in the bathroom, and I had to, go get a locksmith.
Just take I've always said when a child reaches the age of 11, 12, you should just take all the doorknobs off the bathrooms and bedrooms.
Oh, well, see, that's why we have, put a window in every single door in the church. As soon as
Right.
every single door in Twin Hills, everyone's office, well, except for Steve's because of security purposes, and he needs to have a
Yeah,
keypad
exactly.
security system there, but he's always got a bodyguard with him anyway. But every other door in the church has a window in it so that you can never be behind closed
Yeah,
doors
I think it's
with
smart.
anyone. I mean, I think it is like these are the ways in which we're so forward thinking.
Yes.
And and
And I don't wanna say we're not progressive, we're just forward thinking. It's a different
right,
version.
we can think ahead and think, you know what will kind of automatically happen even if a man is married. Let's say there's a man named Mike and he's married to Donna.
Well, don't
If
don't
Mike
use them as an example, Hallie, because that's actually a true
Oh
story.
wait, they're great. But but Mike works with Kimberly, and Kimberly comes in his office to ask him a question. The door sort of just closes behind her. There's no window in the door, let's say. And then the next thing Mike knows, he's overwhelmed with the body that God gave him, which is to get revved
And the
up.
body that God gave Kimberly.
Exactly.
Not Mike's
And
fault.
I know. I mean,
Not Mike's
we
fault.
do our best to teach women that their bodies are dangerous and to teach men that their minds are.
Well, wait, a lady body is like a gun, Hallie. It's like a loaded gun.
Oh, yeah?
And what I say is, we shouldn't make guns illegal, but we need to treat them as if they're dangerous and could go off at any moment. So, I'm all for keeping the gun. I'm just trying to figure out the metaphor here, keeping the gun locked up. You should have a trigger guard on it or something like that, just to make sure that if the gun goes off, you don't want the kids playing with the gun. You don't want your friend taking out your gun and waving it around. And so you just need to be careful when it comes to a lady's body. In this case, it was Kimberly's body, and I thought she should have locked it up a bit better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just keep thinking now about the ways in which the female body could be like a gun. And so I'm trying to think if we can shoot things out of our body, like
Well, you
I
do,
guess I
babies.
That's true. I was thinking I could only maybe shoot things out of my mouth like, sunflower seed shells or something. But you're right. If you go down to the birth canal,
Well, we don't need to go
goodness
down there, but
gracious, you could fill that birth canal up with like ping pong balls, for instance, in a line like a sleeve of tennis balls. And
what,
then
Hallie?
if the woman got into the birthing position, kind of like on all fours, but tummy up instead of butt up, then she could kind of crab walk around shooting ping pong balls at
What's
people.
the next question?
Let's see what we got here. Well, I wanted to ask you first about everything that's going on with Climax and your kids who come to
Oh,
Climax. And
well, we've had a great week with my teens in Climax, Hallie. This week, let's see, we had our annual collab. It was with the Red Cross and Climax, and we call it Bleed Out. And it's so fun because we do a blood drive. Because I don't know if you
awesome.
knew this, Hallie, but people need blood, and they need it in hospitals. They need it, after after there's an issue, like in oh, I don't know, like a big car wreck or a school or whatever. And they came to us and said, "Let's do a collab." I said, "This is awesome because you know what else people need? The blood of Jesus." And so what I do is I make all my teens sign up, and while they're there getting their blood drawn, I get to go around and teach about why Christ's blood is such an important element in our lives. There was a bit of an issue this year, Hallie, because I guess I didn't know who was providing the orange slices and cookies. I thought Red Cross would bring those. They thought we would bring those. And so we did have a lot of people, how would I put this lightly, black out in the chair. And so that was a bit tough because I wasn't really sure at which point they were most open to hearing the message of the gospel. Um, because some of them were kind of like doing this with their heads and
That
stuff.
might be a great time to get them. If they're a seeker, if
Yeah,
you
but
just help stabilize their head, they might repeat anything you say and you could slip the sinner prayer
Yeah,
in.
but a lot of times they're just not, I need that to be a decision that they're making completely in their right mind. And some of them were going like, I feel faint. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't know what words mean. I can't stand up. Call my mom, things like that. And you know, uh I don't, and this is the thing, Hallie, I don't like to name names, but one of my teams, Kinto Tolliver and Laundry and Laundry Anderson, they were so out of their minds. They just were I they both drive, and I shouldn't have sent them home, but both of them drove home, and then I'm getting angry calls from the parents like, "Why did Laundry drive the wrong way down the freeway?" and things like that, and I'm like, "I
Well, these are teens behind the wheel, so who knows?
it's just it's just amazing." And so, yeah, it was a great, collab.
That is awesome. I mean, that's fantastic. And it is well, I was just I was thinking when you said that my son Day, he
Ugh.
normally drives, but he just stopped driving. I mean, I was telling you we were having this fight about the ichthus on the car, the Jesus fish. I kept putting it on, he kept taking it off, and I'm buying these chrome. These are good stick-ons,
Oh, the
it's not.
nice ones.
Yeah. And, it's 3D. I'm not putting on just a flat sticker.
I have an ichthus that's peeing on the ichthus that says evolution.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
That is a witness. Oh, the real Jesus fish peeing on the sacrilegious fish.
right,
That's awesome.
the one that has legs.
It's important to do that stuff just to keep some balance because,
Absolutely.
the attacks are very real. But my son Day, I told him, I said, "You can keep taking it off. I'm gonna put it back on. And if you want to drive this car, you have to drive it with an ichthus on it." And my son Day said, I actually don't want to drive anymore. I'm going to get a state ID instead of a driver's license because he doesn't want to drive because he wants to take public transportation and not contribute to killing the earth with a car. Where I was like, none of that foul language in this house. And because he wants to, be of the people and not be isolated in a vehicle. He wants to like be in the what? And I said, you want to be in the what? In the leper colony?
Well, I had this conversation with him, Hallie, because I really dislike it when people are like, I need freedom of movement. And I'm going, freedom of movement is getting the biggest and best car you can possibly get, which is what,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm not sure if I've mentioned before, but my friend Clay
Clemens
Mason
Bannerman?
got a Cybertruck and it's awesome.
Awesome.
It's awesome. But he was like, no, freedom of movement means that you're not constrained by the economic incentives of buying a car that, like, for little to no money, you can basically get on different types of public transit and go wherever you want. And I said, well, I've got you there, don't I, bud? Because what are you just going to drive the train off the tracks? What if you want to pull over? What if you want to pull over at a come and go and, get a protein shake? And he's going, you're not going to pull a train off the tracks to go do that, are you? And he goes, yeah, you just get off at a stop and go get it. And then, you can get back on the train or whatever. I'm just going, this is where our youth are going. They don't want to drive. They don't want to own a house. They don't want children.
It grieves the heart of God.
And I'm like, those are the top 3 things that I want. Well, I'm not sure about the kid. I mean, not right now. I'm very busy with my youth right now, so I don't really have time for kids or getting married. But I think that these kids are just so brainwashed by the culture. You know what I mean, Hallie?
Yeah, well, totally. And I think that Cybertrucks are awesome
Yeah,
because
they're so cool.
it just looks
They're
like
so cool.
it looks like masculinity at its finest.
It looks like a wedge of cool silver cheese.
Like, I think that, the car industry, the design has gone
the
through
design is
I think the car industry, they started out designing cars with curves and lines. Like, what else do we know that has curves and lines? The female body.
exactly, and that's what Elon was going,
Yep.
hey, do we need cars that look like lady bodies?
Right.
No.
If I see that curvy Corvette, am I pretty much gonna wanna, I just take the next person I see who walks by me and have my way with them because this car is such a turn on. But you get the Cybertruck, and it's like all the shape and design is taken out of it. It's a hunk of it's celebrating what men really like.
Yes. I mean, this was a problem in Climax, and I don't like to name names, but I remember there was a teen a few years ago. I think it was Wario Lopez. And Wario's parents, for his first car, got him a Corvette. And you know what the first thing that happened is in that Corvette, Hallie?
What?
You know what? Can you guess what the first thing that happened in that Corvette was?
He spilled from his drive-through takeout?
No, I'm saying after what we just said, Hallie, that Corvettes look like lady bodies.
Yeah.
What do you think the first thing to do that he wanted to do in the back of that Corvette was?
Touch himself.
No, worse.
Oh, get into a girl's pants, an upper shirt.
Oh, I guess I didn't even think about that. No, he got all turned on by the Corvette, Hallie. And he put I don't know how you
did he
do
crawl
this.
onto the hood on his belly and start, embracing it as if it was a
He
body?
climbed into the back and he started doing basically a JD Vance back there, which it is not true, but I think you get what I'm saying when I say that.
It's just, it's not a disparaging thing to say about JD Vance. It's an efficient way of explaining what you mean.
And I mean, I think JD Vance did do that, but he came out and he owned it, didn't he, Hallie?
And
he owned it.
And you know what? It's a victimless crime, a man and a couch. If you ask me, you know what I mean? And again, it's covered in the blood. He has confessed it. And, who among us hasn't, I have a vibrating pillow that you're supposed to put on the small of your back, but one time I sat on it. And I just want to say, who
Hallie,
among
oh,
us.
I wasn't agreeing with you on that point. But
But
anyway,
but JD Vance, it does work as a verb.
okay, yeah.
She got Vanced.
And when you have a teen that does a JD Vance, I told his parents, take that car to the junkyard right now and get it smashed. And basically what Elon Musk did in his genius mind is he's like, what if we took a truck and we kind of smashed it and we made it into something that, looks like what you could, you know, put under a door to keep it from swinging shut or something. I don't know. It's just
It is
so
genius,
cool
isn't it?
looking.
And
So cool.
I think, and forgive me, trigger warning, I'm going to use a bad word, but it
Well, trigger
almost,
warning is the bad word. I don't think you should ever say trigger warning.
oh, is that right?
No, that's all.
I
Because
know.
all
I
these
think
teens now are just like trigger warning, and I'm like, nothing. I've never ever been triggered. So try me, guy.
same,
Try me.
same, because I cast my cares on him because he cares for me. But you know what? Well, yeah, I just, I think, you know what the problem is with trigger warning is what's underneath it is consent. It's allowing someone to consent to hearing what you're about to say.
Guess what? You can't
And
go through life
and here's one
asking for
thing we have
consent.
got to keep away from our kids. You do not want to have a consent talk with your kids,
No.
especially when it's around sex, because then what you're essentially telling them is that they have a choice, that they have autonomy and agency over their own body. No, that
No.
body belongs to God, babes.
Yeah.
But so if you teach a kid that you have a choice, would I like to be with this person in the following way? Or is there
Or
something
talk
in me
about
that's
this
like,
thing.
no, exactly. And so you're right. I'm striking that one from my record and or from my vocab, and I
That's
shan't
good.
say it again.
I think we should start, instead of all this consent talk, trigger warning, all this stuff. How about we start by saying, "Hey, what is God's will in my life, for my life?" You know what I mean? And maybe all of that other stuff that's gotten a bit boring, maybe all that would just be cleared up. Don't you think, Hallie?
I do. And so the word I was going to say again, earmuffs if you need to, but I just wanted to say that I think the true genius of Elon Musk's Cybertruck
Yes.
is that it is an erection killer. And what I mean by that, and forgive me for saying
Hallie,
erection, forgive me for saying that.
I
I'm
mean, you
really
gotta
sorry,
give
but I
us some
tried to
kind of
use the
warning if you're gonna say
clinicalist
that.
word I could. But I think that is a service that Elon is providing for good and upright men who don't have the time to spend pole vaulting around on these erections all day every day.
Hallie,
And so Elon Musk, because that's how God made them. They get revved up, they have hormones coursing through their veins, they get they see a woman walking down the street, the next thing they know, their pants are, bulging and they're wishing that they'd worn the pleat fronts. But
those are back.
I know. And
And it's a problem because in climax, the issue is when you've got the pleat fronts, there's kind of more there to hide more, if you know what I mean.
definitely. And so with Elon's plan, if he puts lots of Cybertrucks out on the streets, the more people start buying them,
Yeah.
then the less men will have this, problem of arousal. These are, I do think, the shape and the definition and the sheer mass of it. It is an erection
Well,
killer, and I do think that is a service that's being provided us, and I'm grateful.
yeah. I mean, a book that I read as a teen and it helped me so much with this was have you ever heard, he's an Australian pastor who's amazing. Unfortunately, he was weirdly, he was killed by a stingray, but his name was Dr. Jim Gunt, and he had an amazing book called Arousal, the problem, men's problem with women. And it really helped me see, Hallie, how arousal is not a guy's fault. It's all about what's swirling around him.
Oh, it's always the woman's fault. I mean, cover up, girls. Come on, we know.
Yeah, cover up. And you know what? And for years, actually, Hallie, And I used to wear these, but before and I bet they come back in style. Have you ever seen, it was kind of like around the time that Flava Flav, remember that rapper had those goggle glasses?
Oh,
Kind of in the
yeah.
like early 2000s. I got some of those that were almost like what horses wear. They're the little shields that go on the side of your eyes.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jim Gunt would say, just wear glasses that keep you focused on Christ. And I got some of those, and I thought they looked pretty cool, and a lot of my friends did too. Anyway, Hallie, what else do we have on the
Well, I
list of
just wanted to
questions?
say before we leave the topic of the Olympics, and I mentioned
Oh,
pole
were we on that
vaulting.
topic? Okay, yeah.
Did you see what happened in pole vaulting this week? It's another affront that made me so glad that most Christians tuned off and tuned out.
No, what happened?
Well, I don't know if he was French or not, but I imagine he was, because they're the, deviants who, turned innocent kissing into like just
A full sex act.
yeah.
Absolutely sick.
Yeah, it's anyway, I think it was a Frenchman, and for lack of better words, he was wearing tight spandex outfit, his
Right.
jumping costume. And so, imagine like biker shorts on a man.
I can't imagine that, but go on.
But imagine if he had like maybe the biggest sweet potato or yam you could find in the grocery store produce section shoved into the front of his biker shorts, his jumper outfit. And he's running toward it. He's running toward it with the pole. He plants the pole. He
Okay.
goes flying over the goalpost. And as he turns his body back around, he's facing, the goalpost as he's coming down behind it.
Is he jumping over a rugby goal, or what's he doing?
It's the thing that I think they use, the thing that the kickers do football through for the 1 point.
Oh, yeah.
It's that thing.
Well, I mean,
but
sports like that don't really have the funding, so I know they have to double up.
So he goes flying over the pole. He turns around to face the pole. And as he's coming back down on the other side of it, forgive me, but the yam in the front of his pants.
The yam?
It got caught on the goalpost.
What's the yam?
And he was disqualified.
What's the yams?
Well, it was his male member.
What's the yam? What?
His male member was so big. I mean, you can look it up, but please don't. I mean, it would crash the internet. And also, we don't want, obviously we have to keep our minds pure and stuff. So don't look it up that there was a pole vaulter who became disqualified because it's just,
What? This is insane.
this
Hallie.
is what I've always been saying about erections, is that it's this pole vaulting thing. And now this Frenchman, just like he creates the nexus of all universes while he pole vaults and then wrecks the pole vault with his pole.
I mean, the layers of irony are amazing, Hallie, but I like to go back to my favorite rapper, my favorite rapper, Toby Mac, who said the yams are the powers that be. And
what does that mean?
It reminds us that men are in charge. Men have the authority, and I think that this example that you just gave is a way for culture to try to emasculate men, and just give another reason why men, let men be men, Hallie, is what I'm saying. And I'm saying that for the whole Olympics. But yeah, that Toby Mac's my favorite rapper. And I also want to just go back when I said I used those horse blinders in the early 2000s. I was saying I wasn't using those in the early 2000s. I was too young. I was saying there was a fashion in the early 2000s, and I was copying that fashion much later when I was reading Dr. Jim Gunt's book. Anyway,
I think you've always been fashion forward.
Oh, totally. And I love retro stuff. When it's back in fashion, because right now we're really into 90s stuff, and I don't even remember that.
Oh, well, you're so young, and I agree with you that we need to let men be men. I mean, you know what? What's our favorite thing to say that's true about our boys we're raising? We say boys will be boys, you know what I
Boys will
mean?
be
But,
boys.
we tell little girls that, like, so he's, insulting you and pulling your hair and, abusing you in all these ways. It's because he likes you.
Why
And
don't
we're
we ever
letting them know that sometimes love means being horribly mistreated.
right, and why don't we ever say girls will be girls?
I know. Well, I think because we
Or
already
ladies
have
will be ladies.
because the equivalent of that is we say sugar and spice and all things nice.
That's right. I love that one.
But if we're gonna let boys be boys, which we are definitely about, then we gotta let men be men. You
That
know what I
I
mean?
love that.
And then what a great responsibility and challenge for women to take on, to survive the abuse of little boys, and learn that means they like us. If they like us, we're gonna get mistreatment left and right, and then I feel like it sets us up, to manage our expectations for the future for sure.
Oh, and I always say, a lot of times when we go to the water park or we go, or, take the youth to the pool and the boys, one of the most fun things, and we talk about this on here, is they love to try to grab a lady and throw her in the pool.
That's so true.
I just say, let boys be boys.
That's
That is
right.
one of the things that they love to do.
Well, I think that is one of these weird, like immutable laws of the universe, which is that if there is a white man or a white male adolescent
Yep.
anywhere near a body of water and a female just is there, doing whatever it is that she's doing, it's probably not important. There is this like unspoken immutable law of the universe where that white guy has to grab her and toss her in the deep end. It's an impulse that is even stronger than he could, withhold. But luckily, it's not a sin.
Well,
So,
and
just
that's
make sure she gets her phone out of her pocket.
well, the teens are saying that now, Hallie. They say red flag. And red flag means, be careful. A boy might throw you in the pool. I said, we all went down, but down when we're at the Twin Hills pool. I say red flag, boy might throw you in the pool. Beige flag is, I think that's just maybe when a white person can't swim. But anyway, Hallie, what else do we have?
Well, we had a question come into the Twin Hills mailbag. We talked about it last week, but asking about JD Vance, obviously he's great. He has conservative
I
values.
think we've covered JD Vance today, haven't we? Because I mean, what do people want to know about him now? I think he's great.
Well, it's just that there is some, I don't know what it's called when you have trouble doing the mental gymnastics to understand how something can like, be true. But
I think it's just called faith, Hallie.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, great. I thought it was like cognitive miserance or something. But I think there are some conservatives who are concerned that he's speaking a good conservative game, but he used to be evangelical and now he's Catholic, which
What?
is a really disturbing turn of
Oh
events. I mean, talk
no.
about an affront. So we kind of have to figure
Oh
out, I
no.
know, and his wife's Hindu.
What?
Yeah. And so I don't know, man. I just um
And here's the thing. We don't get political on this podcast, do we, Hallie?
we
We
absolutely do
because
not.
we have a higher calling. Politics that is a very worldly thing. But I think, and of course I tuned in when Trump did his awesome interview this week with a lot of the black journalists,
Snap joke.
because I just thought that was awesome, because I think he really showed that, he can talk to anybody and he can win over hearts and minds wherever he goes. But one of the things that came up was, yeah, JD Vance is actually not that important. No one really cares about the vice president. You're not voting for the vice president. And maybe that is what we all have to start saying, Hallie, because if JD Vance is Catholic, I think Trump could just go back and pick someone new and it just won't matter, will it?
Well, I will say this, even though it grieves the heart of God, is that my husband Lance Labont and I did the Vatican when we were in Rome, when we were over there visiting and eating all their gelato and pasta and pizza. And I just wanted to see the paintings, you
Right.
know? We didn't get up to Venice, which was good because I did not wanna see the David, or Tuscany, that's in, Florence, I
It's
don't
all
know.
the same.
Yeah, it's all the same pasta, babies. But, I we went in the Vatican, and I do have to say I couldn't understand what they were saying, but
Probably good.
there was a message from the Pope being blasted out on, like, big speakers and stuff
Oh,
in the square, and inside you could listen to it, and I couldn't understand a
sounds like
gosh darn
brainwashing.
word he was saying,
Right.
but I kept hearing him be like, "Jesus Cristo, Jesus Cristo, Jesus Cristo," and I was like, "He's talking about Jesus."
Really? I didn't think they ever talked about
It
Jesus.
was a lot of Jesus, and it was the
Really?
only word I could understand, and
Huh.
so, you know what?
But if you don't know the words before and after Jesus, how do you know what he's saying about Jesus?
I'm pro anyone who's bringing a lot of Jesus,
Okay.
and I think at the very, we know Catholics are kind of they're getting so many things wrong, they're like they're giving women part of the story, and it's like, come on, and they're, they want incense in church for some reason. Like, what are you doing? Trying to cover up the smell of reefer? They want people drinking real wine when grape
Yeah.
juice is fine. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's just off. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I can, allow for the Catholicism because there is a lot of Jesus there, and we can hope that if he gets into the vice presidency, God will begin to, like, move
Work
more
in him.
powerfully in his way,
Well, I mean, God works in Trump, right? He sometimes makes little mistakes, but God is at work. And I think actually the most disruptive thing that Trump could do right now, maybe in light of these things that you brought up today, Hallie, with JD Vance being Catholic, and now I'm thinking what we've talked about with like Cybertrucks and cool stuff. Maybe Trump dumps JD Vance and just gets the next most logical person to be his VP, which would
one of
be
his sons,
Joe
and
Rogan.
he would win the ticket with that.
I just watched his comedy special, and I don't really like comedy, but it was so funny.
I know.
It was so funny. He's back. Rogan's back. And think about the
Oh,
most popular guy, and he lifts and he takes care of his body. And I just think that would be look awesome for Trump.
and he and Trump are both like the human equivalent of a roofie. I think it would be a double dose. I mean, they would win if he got that's a
What do you
great
mean?
idea.
I don't think you can say that, Hallie. Anyway, what's the next question?
Oh, well, I think I just wanted to say in terms of the Hindu thing, she's a pre-Christian, and we can have faith for that, and also we need to put him on the top of our prayer list.
Yes, we
Um,
do.
and uh, yeah, so I'm putting him on top of my prayer list right now. I'm just writing it down, and oh my gosh.
Um,
My daughter is texting me pictures of the car she wants us to get, and I'm not
oh,
buying this car.
which car or which daughter and which car?
Well, but this is my daughter who is not 15 and can't drive yet, but she is saying that what she wants is a Subaru Brat, and it's where it's a car in the front and it's a truck in the back.
Oh
And I said, "No,
no,
that's ugly." She said it's cool
a
and retro.
Subaru Brat.
A Subaru Brat, because she
Oh,
said it's
because it's
Brat
Brat
summer.
summer.
So now she wants to drive a Subaru Brat, and I said, "I don't think so. I'm gonna get things that I find aesthetically pleasing, and then I'm gonna slap a Jesus fish on there."
I mean, a Subaru Brat is kind of what the problem is with the youth these days, isn't it, Hallie? They want they want a car to be a truck. They want they want basically I mean, that is the most, and I hate to say it, Hallie, that's the most lesbian sounding car I've ever heard.
What? A car?
Well, it's a truck? I don't know. What is it? It's a truck.
Well, I need to know if there are lesbian cars because I was not aware of that. I
Well,
know
it's
they
a
have
truck on a Subaru, Hallie. It doesn't get much more lesbian than that.
oh, it grieves the heart of God. I mean, I
I mean, the
can't keep
only thing
up.
that looks more like
I thought that lesbians only drove U-Hauls. That's how you identified them.
well, think about this car, Hallie. It's kind of a square triangle kind of car that has a little truck bed in the back. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do in the back of that? I just am really worried because I think they discontinued Subaru Brats because they were essentially making people, turn into lesbians.
But she's finding them on eBay, and, you're gonna end up having to go through this with Popsicles, when he stops being a toddler and someday drives, and I'll tell you what, Gray, you turn around and it happens in the blink of an eye. You're gonna turn around and Popsicles is gonna be going to college.
Oh, I mean, I hope that's sooner rather than later, because right now I've just kind of had it with Popsicles, and of course, like, I don't care. He's not my kid. He's not my, there's nothing that I can do. He's just my
Your
friend's
best friend's
son,
grandchild.
and I think that there is just something going on with these kids and Popsicles now. Honestly, we're and I didn't want to bring this up today, Hallie, because we're just having a ton of trouble with our neighbor or with Clay's neighbor.
Donovan Geo?
And this guy, it's just so much. You realize that a village is raising a child, but sometimes there are people in that village that are rubbing off on the child that you just don't want that influence.
That's true.
And so I've just said, Clay, every time Donovan comes through the back door, goes up to the roof, wants to sunbathe, is hanging out with Bobby Lou. I'm like, what is it around here? What's going on around here? Because this guy's catchphrases are rubbing off on Popsicles, who just like walks around in his Y fronts now, acting like Donovan Geo. And I said, we don't want him acting like Donovan Geo. We need him acting like us.
Well, it's disrespectful if your child is just barking these catchphrases at you.
Oh, I know. And the new one is the worst one of all.
Oh no, what is it?
Well, the new one, and it doesn't make sense, is he comes in and he'll have some object. It could be a ball, a stuffed animal, or whatever. Donovan likes to do it with. The reason is Donovan drinks, Hallie. I told you that. Like, Donovan will take tin cans of off the roof, and he likes to drink a beer, shoot a tin can off the roof back into his yard, and if he gets it into his trash can, he says, "Shoot it from the half court, ayo!" And then he does. Then he does that. So now I've got Popsicles going around. I'll feed him, I'll feed him Dino Nuggets or whatever, and he'll be like, "Shoot it from the half court, ayo!" And he'll throw it across the room. And I'm like, Clay, we didn't teach. I didn't teach him this. You didn't teach him this. First off, why am I feeding him? He's just my friend's son. And it's just so annoying. It's just so annoying.
Well, I mean, does Clay know that Donovan Geo is drinking beer on his roof?
Well,
Because
Clay's permissive with that stuff, Hallie.
what?
I know, and honestly, and Clay is a Christian. He says he's a Christian, but
Awesome.
a lot of times Clay gets a bit mixed up in like what is Christian and what isn't. And it's not like we're like no alcohol ever. I'm like, it's okay if you have a beer or whatever, because I'm chill. I used to, I used to go to a church, Hallie, that met in a brewery, and it was so cool. It was awesome.
Awesome.
And it wasn't to get people drunk. It was just like, this is where people are meeting. So we would do hymn sings in a brewery, and it was the most popular thing at the brewery until people told us to stop and go away. But yeah, so a beer here and there, I don't care. I'm cool. I'm from Australia. People drink a lot of beer. But it's just so annoying because I'm going, what do you want, Popsicles to drink beer now? And say, shoot it from the half court, AO?
Ugh. I mean, it's not the first time you've been publicly asked to, stop singing praise songs. And
Oh,
I
well,
think that's
every
an
time I'm
awesome
on a
worship.
plane, every time I'm on the plane with the youth and we're going to a mission trip, we love to bring the last time.
On the way to Cancun, you got the whole plane singing almost, right?
Oh yeah, and one of the times I remember we were on a missions trip. I think that one was when we were taking the youth up to Canada, to basically, we were trying to build a wall between Canada and help build a wall between Canada and the U.S. with Habitat for Humanity. But one of the things we were doing was, I've got a river of life flowing out of me.
Ooh,
Makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. And there, Hallie, wouldn't you know it? I think it was Day, or probably one of Day's little friends, was like, wait a
no.
minute, let's pick this apart.
Oh,
I've got a river of life flowing out of me, makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. So do I have like a superpower that can make the lame to walk and the blind to see? And I was like, no, Jesus made the lame to walk and the blind to see. And they're going, yeah, but the song says, I've got a river of life flowing out of me. And so then they're all thinking it's like Thundercats or something where they're like shooting, or I don't know. I don't know
it's
what
just
Thundercats are.
that Jesus is in you and he can heal the
He
blind.
can do it. But then
and
they're
he's
like,
inside of you, but you can't do it. And you can't
but it
even do
said,
it with him inside you.
but
He
he's,
happens to be inside you, and he also happens to be able to make
and
the
they're all
lame
going,
walk.
why can't we do it? So they were all going up to every blind Canadian they could find and being like, I've got a river of life flowing out of me. And nothing happened. And that was really.
What is the river of life? I've never actually thought about that.
The river of.
I mean, it sounds a little bit new age. It should sound more biblical. It should be like
Right.
the Jordan River flowing out of me or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to pick apart the songs,
What's
Hallie.
a river
It's
of
just
life?
yeah, I don't. A river of life.
Maybe it's just a metaphor. I mean, Jesus got baptized in the Jordan River.
Right.
He's inside of us. He was in a river. There's a river of life inside of us.
Yeah.
It might just be sometimes things are just symbolic, not like the
Exactly.
opening games of the ceremony or whatever,
No.
but like sometimes things are just symbolic and that, can be used for like teaching metaphors
Yes.
and sermons and messages and stuff.
Exactly. Anyway, sorry I had to go off, Hallie, but sometimes I've got to go off. And my teens know that, and you don't want to see me go off because, I will absolutely, destroy them with, what I know.
We have one more question about
Oh, okay.
it being the end times.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to bring up that, how Trump said, you're talking about declaring your faith in all these different ways, trying to get all the youth, on the United Airlines flight to the Bahamas for missions trip to all start singing praise songs because the rest of the plane would just be so blessed by it.
Oh, they love it.
Oh, they would love it. And so, things like that, you're declaring your witness. Well, this week, a lot of people said that Trump clearly said into a microphone, I am not a Christian, but you Christians need to vote for the very last time. You won't have to vote again. We'll get it all fixed up and everything.
Everybody freaked out.
But I think that was just an audio thing that made it sound like he said, hey, Christians, you got to vote this one time. Come on, Christians, you got to vote. I love the Christians. I'm not a Christian, but I love you.
No, he said, I'm a Christian. I think he was like, oh yeah, and I'm a Christian.
Well, it just sounded like he said, I'm not a Christian. It like clearly, he clearly says, I'm not a Christian.
But then he regained and he said, oh yeah, I am a Christian.
No, I think it was the audio. It went like when he said, I am a Christian,
right?
It did a like flub in the middle there. And it just made it sound like he said, I'm not a Christian. But that brings us to, he's just trying to help Christians not have to keep going back and fighting at the polls every 2 years to just simply get, a full nationwide abortion ban happening.
Well, what he's saying is they're going to put into effect all the plan that they wanted to, and it's just going to be fixed. He's going to fix the problems. Then you won't have to vote because all the problems will be fixed. That's what he's saying.
And now the Supreme Court imbued him with enough power that like, if he gets in, he can just say, okay, now there's no more term limits. He can make Donald Jr., his vice, which, I think we don't have to get too attached to Vance because I think Don might dump him, but we'll see.
I think the Rogan thing is a good idea.
It's a great idea, but here's the other thing. He doesn't really need a vice president.
No,
he could just run without one.
And the vice president doesn't do anything. Clearly.
He himself says, I alone can fix the problem.
Yeah.
So we don't need a running mate. So any hoodles, there's a great question that came into our mailbag about the end times and the fact that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we may be raptured at any moment. We don't know the hour or the day, but we know it is soon.
All the signs
I know Christians have been saying that for thousands of years.
Everybody
but now
knows.
we're actually in it. And so this inquiry is about how, should American Christians be allowed to vote early in this year's election, just
Oh,
simply so that in case we're raptured. I think this is really good. I mean, it's the same as like you can vote from home now and you can get absentee ballots even when you're overseas serving the military or whatever. And so there should be an early vote for the Christians. And in fact, if that vote comes in and is overwhelmingly one thing, then you don't have to even let everyone do the thing in November, because we can just be like, we'll save you all the
statistically, we
time.
already won. That's a good idea. I've always been against early voting, Hallie, because, basically people use it to cheat. But maybe if we allow early voting for Christians, this will be great because, hey, we'll probably win. And then we won't, since we're not going to be here for the next 4 years, there's no way that we'll be here for the entire term anyway. Maybe this is a way that Christians can make sure their votes count, because probably it's going to happen. We never say a date, but all signs are pointing to it's probably going to happen before November 5th. Don't you think?
And you know what? Maybe as a sign of, like, I don't know, passing the olive branch or whatever it's called, maybe we go, and you know what? We'll let Biden do it too, because he probably won't. He needs to get it in quick because he's got one foot in the grave, one foot on a banana peel.
Oh, Biden died years ago, Hallie.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
Touch coffee, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. I think that would be the button.
Biden died years ago. There hasn't been a president in this part of the country for years,
that was an episode, folks. Thanks so much for those great suggestions. I hope we satisfied some of your needs. We love to read back through the comments, so thanks for chatting it up. And we'll be back on next Sunday, and we'll play some bingo too, I think. Thanks for jumping in late. I saw Virginia came in late, and thanks as always for doing those bingos when you're around.
Man, it got hot in here.
It's hot here in LA, folks. We're heading out to sit by the pool. I know, us schwitzen. That's why I wore my Climax tee.
Halfway through that. Oh, did we have a nipple slip? We got a nipple slip.
But yeah, if you're wanting one of these, they're on sale right now. You can go to our TeePublic store.
Wait, there's a sale right now?
Yeah, I think everything's like $16.
Because I want to make I made a breakfast t-shirt.
Oh yeah,
because I want to wear.
Sometimes we just put t-shirts we want up on our own t-shirt store and then order them. But Holly made a cool.
I made a cool breakfast t-shirt that I want to wear at the gym, so everyone's just staring at my t-shirt the whole time. Because like
staring at your knockers, your water bra that you wear at the gym.
I know it makes my pull-ups hard. Is that I carry an extra weight.
And thank you all. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. Have a great Sunday. We really appreciate you listening to Mega, telling people about Mega. It's our great joy.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being so funny. And we'll see you next week. And I hope you have a great week. I do feel like for the last 10 minutes, I've been so hot. I'm not thinking straight. I can't breathe.
Yeah, De La Bont for Prez.
De La Bont for Prez. That's my favorite long sleeve tee I have. But the breakfast one, I'm gonna put it on. I think I'm gonna put.
There's a Barbie Luya shirt in there. I think based on a joke that came out of
one of these.
So, thanks, Adam.
Oh yeah. Wait, what's the sale? Are they 16 right now?
I think so, but there's like random sales on there all the time. So keep an eye out. And thanks, everybody.
We are, Caitlin. We are in better spirits. We've been having a really nice time. Really, we just had our 15th anniversary.
15.
And we went to the desert and we celebrated and we had so much fun. And so we're very bonded right now, very close. High five.
Freeze frame. We'll see y'all next week.
See you next time.
Ending now.